Let's see. Are we on? I think we're on because it's loading. Wait.
Yeah, it's loading now.
Oh, we're on, baby. Let's go. Good morning, crew. Sorry for the technical difficulties. That was a little weird. We've never had that happen. The black screen right into the opening there. But shout out. All good. We always fix it. We always manage. But good morning, good morning. I wonder, could you guys hear us? I don't think you guys could hear us, but hope everybody's having a great morning. We are getting some movement this morning. Oh gosh, NQ just started ripping right now. We did have some data come out at 5:30. We got some data this morning at 10. So definitely watch out for the volatility today. Um, but again, as the market keeps ripping, that volatility is just going to get drained out. So gonna keep an eye on that. Shy, how we feeling this morning?
I'm feeling great. The king of AI spoke last night, and we all listened and loved it. And you're seeing that in the pre-market. I mean, honestly, the way that Nvidia ran up into this event, it was prime candidate for sell the news. Unless Jensen said actual, like a roadmap of what their future growth path is going to be. And I think we got that last night. Like that was a really impressive um, presentation from Jensen. Like there was actually some substance in it. It kind of solidified their AI leadership, which I think we all knew. Like Nvidia is AI, AI is Nvidia. It's interchangeable. But we got some commentary on their Blackwell GPUs, like two and a half times the training, 15x their inference performance. Like that's baffling. I can't imagine what Ruben's going to do after this as well. But also we got some visibility in their Cosmo platform, which is targeting robotics and industrial AI. So I think if I had to put a characteristic of what last night's event was, it was very robotics heavy, industrial AI heavy, physical AI essentially. And I think that is the next stage of what AI is going to be at before it hits agentic AI. But either way, robotics is going to be around the corner. You're already seeing signs of it from Tesla showing all these showcasing these videos with Optimus. You're seeing the king of AI illustrate robotics is a multi-trillion-dollar industry and that is the next frontier and they're pitching it right now essentially, which makes me think that's very close to a reality. And also, you have to remember like Nvidia owns commands 90% of the AI GPU market, and their CUDA platform is the industry standard. So they're just like the backbone of the AI infrastructure. They have this Cosmo platform targeting robotics. And I already mentioned that their CUDA platform is going to be like the middleman between GPUs and physical QPUs. So they're going to have their hand in the quantum computing arena as well. So like I just think everything's aligning really well for Nvidia in 2025, especially when you got commentary from Microsoft, 80 billion spend in 2025. I think the estimates right now for Microsoft, Meta, Google, and Amazon's like surpassing 300 billion this year in capex, and that's a 50 or 60% increase from year over year. So that's just showing me that I really do think Nvidia can grow more than 50% this year, and with the margins that they have, they're going to be printing even more cash. So I think Nvidia will be the first $10 trillion company in our lifetime. And I don't know if it's going to happen this year, but I don't think Nvidia is going to break $100. I really don't think, maybe ever again. Their dominance in the digital economy is so sticky. Their CUDA platform provides a recurring revenue that's not going to go away anytime soon. It was just a really bullish event last night that makes the appetite for tech intensify, and you're seeing that right now in the pre-market.
Yeah, 100%. This market is continuing to rip right now. We do have some more data coming out at 10 o'clock Eastern, so I'm going to be watching out for that as well. But this market's looking very strong at the moment. Let's recap Monday with the daily rip from yesterday. Here's the heat map from yesterday. Decent amount of green, but definitely some red in there. Utilities really red. Beverages really red. Household, but tech, semiconductors still looking pretty good. So overall market obviously did pretty well. We did get a pullback kind of midday and kind of retraced a decent amount of the move from yesterday on SPY and QQQ, but overall things are looking pretty good. Things are still looking strong again this morning. So I'm going into the day, I'm not looking to fade the strength right away. If I get some indication of that, sure, but again, this market just continues to be strong. These dips get bought, man. You know, I do think 2025 can be different, but yeah, we got to play with that price action, Shy, and things keep looking strong at the moment. What are you thinking about this heat map?
I mean, looking at this heat map, again, Microsoft and Apple, I just don't know the case on both of them. I'm shocked they're still like really green. But like you robotics, like if that is the new narrative for 2025, like that's going to be a popular narrative. Tesla and Amazon will catch major bids off that. And for Amazon alone, their e-commerce business, it's underrated how revolutionary robotics will be for their margins. I think that traditionally it's like 20% gross margins, very low margin business. Like I don't think they expect much profitability in that segment. Really, it's just AWS is what's driving the profit cash cow of Amazon. But the last mile delivery is ripe for disruption on robotics, which is what the cost, what's making the margin so low for Amazon's e-commerce business. Also, working the factories, working 24/7. I think it's like $3 an hour for a robot compared to like a human. I hate to say regular workforce is like 8x that at least. I mean, not 8x that, 5 to 7x that. So I do think that Amazon is going to start catching somewhat of a bid if robotics is a near-term reality. Nvidia, I really think Nvidia is going to hit 200 this year. I really do believe that. I think maybe even this quarter, this upcoming earnings is going to be with Blackwell in full production. Their guidance is going to be like heavily spotlighted on their upcoming earnings report. So that's good to see. And also Google, like Google got disrespected on this like narrative on their search monopoly is going to erode, and that's where they make all their profitability. But they have their hand in so many different arenas. Autonomous. Google Cloud was one of the most impressive computing numbers I've seen in the previous earnings report. And they just like are. I also want to mention before we move on, Meta. We just had Dana White
It was
join
a
the
beautiful
board
day
at Meta.
yesterday. That was ridiculous
Yeah,
yesterday.
it's like Zuck just he has his finger on the pulse of what needs to be done. Having Dana White join the board is just a multifaceted tailwind for them because maybe I'm biased. Dana White's pretty cool. Like he's just a cool guy. He's like very in. He gets. He's like the aura, the cool aura that Meta wants to obviously be associated with because of Zuck's transformation past 2 years, and also like
Yeah, Zuck's
if
getting
Elon,
into that world a little bit, you know.
100%, and like if Elon is Trump's first buddy, Dana is Elon's first buddy. There's a snowball effect. So like essentially you're getting somewhat of a channel towards the White House with Dana joining the board. So like it's a win-win. And you guys already know what I believe in their stance in AR and VR. Like they're the clear tier one players in that space. There's no competition. So if you're bullish on those thematics, that thematic Meta is the way to play that. So I think it was just like a really strong day for Meta. And you're seeing like last year was a large cap tech day, especially semis, in anticipation of last night's report. And now this morning is showing strong action as well.
Yep, and chip stock surge. Chip stocks have bounced back recently with Nvidia leading the charge as it looks to pass Apple again as the largest stock in the market. Today's big news item was Foxconn reporting record revenue of 63.9 billion during the fourth quarter of 2024. Its 15% year-over-year growth was better than anticipated, driven by cloud and networking product growth, a segment that includes AI servers. So good stuff for Foxconn there. Record revenue, love to see that. Bullish performance and outlook from a key supplier to the semiconductor industry helped boost chip stock performance along with Nvidia, the world's largest chip maker. TSMC hit a record high. I actually want to take a look at that. Taiwan Semi. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know there's an invisible web in the digital economy, and that's these semiconductor names, TSMs, ASMLs, Foxconns.
Yep.
If they do really show really strong numbers, there is an absolute trickle down effect across the board in semis. And you're seeing that right now. Foxconn is like kind of like the one of those pillars of that invisible web. So if they're doing really well, Apple and Nvidia are going to do well. If Nvidia is doing well, TSM and ASML are going to do well, and the list goes on. So like it's just a weird bucketing approach, but like that's why I saw yesterday semis roar.
Well, and something I want to note when you look at this Nvidia chart or go on your own chart, I mean, you just look on a daily or weekly. There was really nothing to be worried about when you look at this consolidation. I mean, you've heard the term "don't short a bull market." I think that very much applies to Nvidia when it's been carrying this whole market this whole year, right? So, I mean, just high time frame consolidation like that with no real big levels of structure being broken, I'm not surprised we're sitting right back at all-time highs here in pre-market because, again, like shorting, trying to short something like that, especially at the range lows. I remember, we were trading kind of towards that 129.50 area, and I saw a lot of people trying to put some shorts on, which I understand. But at the end of the day, like bottom of a big daily range like that with no real aggression breaking any of these levels, it's hard for me to think that way when Nvidia has done what it's done all year. And then of course, going into this event this week, that was been a catalyst for the upside. So something to note there, right? When you see that healthy consolidation coming from a giant impulsive move to the upside on a high time frame, I definitely like to be cautious and don't jump on the short so quick, especially when you're at the range lows like that, right? So something to watch. I think we did hit all time highs in pre-market here, 153.47. So looking good. The long term's
All
going to be very
all
happy.
time highs are bullish. All time highs are bullish.
Yes, they
That's all
are.
I gotta say.
At some point, it will be the high, and it won't be bullish, but it's very hard to pick that top, and I just don't recommend it. You generally lose a lot more money trying to pick the top, especially like intraday trading. Shy, I'm sure you can agree. I mean, even if you do end up picking the bottom or top, you generally end up taking so many stops trying to get there that it's not even worth it the money you make on the backside. So definitely don't
Hmm.
recommend that. But
We got
moving
we got a
on,
comment in the
what's that?
chat about our thoughts on Intel.
Ooh,
Um, I think
I haven't
Intel is a
looked at it in a
tragic
minute.
story of poor corporate governance. They had a massive lead in CPUs. They let AMD eat their lunch in that. They're messing up their foundry, which is a no-brainer duopoly that they could have had as well. They have no CEO. They have to figure that out. Like, there's just so much noise associated with Intel that honestly, under 20 bucks, you probably would do well long term. But you also have to ask yourself, is it worth catching this falling knife when you see clearly that the king, Nvidia, is gonna realm like be that dominant player for years and years across these multiple secular growth themes, and they are technically cheaper fundamentally right now this valuation than Intel is because Intel doesn't really have any profitability, and you're seeing like Nvidia print 40% cash profit essentially on everything they do, and they're growing top line 50+%. Like that tells you everything you need to know. Like they are killing it. Where Intel, like I think their client computing group CGC, it's called that, which is like their bread and butter. I think it's like 60% of their revenue is diminishing year over year. They're losing market share. Like that's not a trajectory you want to kind of be a part of. And I need to see some tangible results to see they're turning the ship around, but there isn't any signs of that right now. You're just catching a falling knife. You're catching a brand that should do well in a duopoly in a Trump-led presidency when America's first, America, America, America. They should do well, but also I don't know if they have the pieces intact to actually make those changes yet. I really don't see that. So I think it's a put in the doghouse, wait in the sidelines, and see some actual pre-reads on how they're going to turn this ship around. Until then, like I wouldn't touch. That's just Nvidia is the best play in my Nvidia and TSM. If you want any kind of exposure in those arenas from Intel, like just don't worry about it. It's too difficult to understand. Put in that buckets. TSM and Nvidia is kind of the way to play. And maybe AMD as a dark horse. Who like they also have to prove to me their software uh, stack of their ecosystem is going to improve, and I need to see that first.
Yeah, I mean, in Intel, when you just look at the chart, at the end of the day, it's lower high, it's lower highs, lower lows consistently. There's no sign of this really turning around. The only thing kind of sexy about it is how cheap it is, right? Under $20. But that's not enough for me. And then you talk about the fundamental side of things, right? It's not super attractive at the moment, right? So at least until you get some more positive catalysts coming along and some actual structure changes to the upside. It's hard to
Well,
wanna long this
you
at
want to
all
hear
for me.
you want to hear a wild statistic I'm
Let's hear
about
it.
to drop right now? I just want to confirm this. Yeah, all right. Nvidia is about to produce more cash this upcoming year than the market cap of Intel. Let that sink in. They they produce more cash in their pocket just in one
I mean,
year
that's just
than what
domination
Intel is worth.
in a sector. You know what I mean? That's all it is right there.
You just it's crazy how much the cash cow that Nvidia is becoming. And even if they have their margins erode due to competition, hyperscalers creating their own custom chips, that's fine. They're producing 95 to 100 billion in cash flow every year. That in the next like 4 or 5 years, they're going to incrementally have an extra 500 billion in just cash.
It's
You don't think they're going to
ridiculous.
invest in R&D on that, especially with their chef's kiss technology that they have? They're going to. They're going to be constantly innovating. And worst case, they're going to go down the financial engineering path that Apple started 10, 12, 15 years ago. And you saw Apple's performance. Like they're just financial engineering machine. They're so immersed into the ecosystem of consumers, similar to how Nvidia is so immersed into the ecosystem on enterprises. That's never going away.
Yep, taking a look at Google. Google's had some strength lately, especially beginning of this week. Yesterday had a beautiful day to the top of the range. I'm interested to see if this can potentially break out, get over that 200 bucks. I know, obviously, if you're bullish, you're definitely looking for that here. So I think Google's looking good, trying to get this breakout. As long as bulls can hold strength and continue, and Google just continues to get positive catalysts, I think has a good chance of getting over that 200. But I also don't think it's going to be as easy as it just happening in one day. I think we're kind of primed for some consolidation here. I could totally be wrong, but I don't know. This 200 level's big. We've tested it before recently, December 17th, and we're right back at that area now. So I wouldn't be surprised if we have to go sideways a little longer around this area, but maybe we get the breakout and bulls continue with volume. But we'll see. I don't know. What are your thoughts here with that Shy in this breakout area and kind of? I mean, Google's at all-time highs basically. So how are
Like
we
I said,
feeling?
they got re-rated. They got
Yeah.
re-rated as a search monopoly that the DOJ is targeting. That's going to erode their monopoly status, which inevitably will make their margins compress, less profitability. They don't really. A lot of people aren't the biggest fans of their management, myself included, because they're not showmen.
I feel like
Like you need.
coming in as a new investor on Google right here though, this is like a tough spot. I feel like for me, for if I was looking to like get in and start an investment, it'd be tough to be looking at it
Oh,
here.
I don't know
Even
if I
though
go. To be, I wouldn't go long
I'd
large
have
cap
to
tech
wait.
at this violation.
No,
Yeah.
I'd have to wait, but I I'm with you at the same time. I mean, things look good. So yeah, moving on. Salesforce. Gosh, I haven't looked at Salesforce in a minute, but looking like we're trying to. Oof, I don't know. We're just in this consolidation, really going back and forth. This could very well break down. This could very well hold. I think it's really a coin flip here. We're kind of around big psychological level of 300. I wouldn't be surprised if we need to retest that. We do have a gap down there, but we also have this big daily gap that we just filled. A lot of gaps on CRM, I'm noticing. So if you're swing trading, definitely be careful. And something like CRM has these big swings overnight, and don't want to get screwed overnight there. But I don't know. If I was looking to go long, I'd definitely like to see some sort of retest of that 300 area. I don't know if you'd get anything like that. Would be a break of the structure, but I would argue you're kind of already seeing a break of the structure on the daily. I don't know how you feeling about CRM, Shy.
So AI is going to absolutely destroy the CRM space. It's going to. It's
300 it
inevitable.
is.
I don't know. There's going to be one or two winners that come out of it. One large market, and one's like maybe can find a niche in the small middle market of CRMs. I think Salesforce, with their history, like they're going to be, I think they'll survive this, and I think AI agents is going to be a massive tailwind for them in the near term. I just in the post agentic AI world. Like I don't know what they're going to. I don't know how they're gonna like really have that premium valuation that they need to have in order to justify this like a $400 or $500 price target going forward. But I do think in the near term, agentic AI is going to be a massive tailwind for them, and they're going to benefit significantly. And you're going to see like just them hit an all-time high, and you're going to see they're going to be one of the AI winners. Like that could be the case, but there's going to be a disruption in CRMs. And but I do think I'd be bullish on Salesforce. I really do because I think agentic AI will be a massive tailwind for them in the near term. It will be. And who knows? Maybe they acquire that once they get that cash flow from agentic AI, and you see the CRM smaller players start like eroding due to competition. C counts are getting lower and lower. Products getting replicated. Maybe just acquire like they acquire Asana. Maybe they acquire Klaviyo. Maybe I don't. I think Monday.com will survive this as maybe that niche player, but maybe they don't and they acquire Monday.com. Either way, like they land and expand for decades. I think they're going to still do that in the post AI world.
Big move brewing for IBM. When's the last time you looked at IBM, Shy? Curious.
Uh, I think I heard my friend's grandpa talk about it a couple years ago. No,
Well,
no,
it might be
I
ready
didn't.
for a move. I mean, look, we're testing the bottom of this trend line. We made this little wedge to the downside here. I'm definitely curious if we hold this gap that we've made on the daily and want to get some bids to the upside. We're trying to see a little bit of a market structure change on the daily, but not really quite making higher highs yet. But interesting. I don't look at IBM much, but nice
Well,
to see it's actually been doing like really well when you look at it.
I, I
So
I I label IBM and Honeywell as grandpa's quantum picks.
yeah.
Like those, because they are going to be like quantum players for sure. I don't know how the alpha is to be made in those names on that quantum space compared to like an Ion Q or Getty, even Google based from Willow. But those are the two names that are going to benefit, and they are somewhat safe. So like that's why I call them grandpa's quantum picks.
No, I love that. That's hilarious. Yeah, let's see if we get a move soon. Chat's wondering if we have any opinions or thoughts on nuclear energy stocks. I know nuclear got a big run recently, kind of into the end of the year. I didn't really participate in any of that, um, and I haven't really kept up to date with anything happening recently. Shy, the nuclear market was kind of popping recently. What you have any thoughts on specific tickers or that whole sector in general?
I, I'm bullish on that sector. I absolutely think that
I mean, I guess I
for
would be too. I just don't know enough to be like heavily invested right now. I feel like, but
well, it's tricky because I think that like
Mucor,
for
right?
AI
Is it?
to yeah, so if for AI to reach its full potential, it absolutely needs to find an alternative energy source to fuel the data centers. Like 100%, that's going to be nuclear. But it's not going to happen the next couple of years. Like best case scenario, these nuclear energy names start getting the fundamentals get reflected from AI in like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
It
these
takes
things
half a
take
decade to
time.
create this like nuclear power plants. So in the meantime, do I want to have that opportunity cost on those names when the baton just got transitioned from stage one to stage two of AI, where software is going to freaking explode in the next 12, 18, 24 months. And you're going to see stupid returns on some specific software names akin to a Palantir type of move in the past year. Do I want to like put my capital, if I'm bullish on AI, do I want to allocate some capital in nuclear energy where I don't think they're going to see an urgent an increase in their fundamentals in the near term. Like I just don't see it. So like I'm bullish. I just like I'm worried about the opportunity costs, and also I think nuclear is one of those things that even in a Trump-led presidency, you can't deregulate some of the hurdles. Like you just
Yeah.
Chernobyl 2.0 is an absolute you can't have that, and I think that that is somewhat of regulation is going to be a headwind for this industry to accelerate to capitalize on AI. So like I'm bullish on it, but unless there's a massive like oversold move on that whole bucket, like I'm probably not going to participate as much as I want until like software has had their run. Like if once software like a pound like Snowflake's at 400, Mongo's maybe at 6 or 700, Cloudflare's at 200, 300. Like uh, until the software names get that premium valuation that they deserve based on the stage 2 of AI, I'm probably not going to allocate anything towards nuclear energy.
Yeah, I get you. One thing I wanted to point out real quick before we look at any other tickers and this market gets open in about 4 minutes is shout out on the StockTwits app. If you guys go to the explore page, oh, will it show? Will it show? There you go. You can kind of see it. You can see the daily rip. The live stream is on there. So make sure you guys go check that out. And I think you can like leave little bullish notes or like bearish notes, whatever you're feeling for the day, in the bottom right when you're in the chat. It's kind of fun. So make sure you guys are checking that out on the StockTwits app as well. But what other tickers we got? What do you think? OG SKYT for American Fab Play. It's a small cap now. SKYT. I don't think I've ever looked at that. SKYT Skywater Tech. Well, this thing's been getting some juice recently a little bit. I think you're consolidating after a large impulsive move to the upside and kind of waiting to see if this wants to continue. It's funny, this consolidation looks very similar to how Google's looking at the moment. Obviously, completely different tickers. But, you know, I don't know any of the details about this company, so I'm just going off the chart personally. But I think it looks healthy so far in this consolidation. You do have some rejection at the top of this range, so that kind of tells me we might go back and forth in this range for a little while longer. But I would just wait for any significant breaks of structure here. If you get a break of structure to the upside, you know what I mean, from the consolidation that we're in, great. You can maybe target the top, which is, you know, that $19, and then beyond that, if you get momentum over that, and if not, might turn into a potential short play. But it's a very cheap stock as well, so not something I would generally trade personally. But any thoughts on that, Shay? SKYT.
I've never even heard of this company before.
Yeah, me neither. But yeah, interesting stuff. We got GUR. Yeah, GUR. Something we've been watching. Kind of we've had mentioned in the stream quite a bit, pulling back a little bit. It's honestly not looking that bad. I know it probably, if you're in a position or bought at highs, you know, this pullback isn't great, but if you've been in lower, this is just consolidating sideways. Again, though, like, I don't know much about this company. Shay, you might know more about it than me now. I mean, what are your thoughts here?
I mean, I looked again 5 minutes. I think you guys saw me live looking into this company for the first time, and
Oh yeah, you did last week, right?
yeah, it grew triple digits. All of a sudden, it's tanking 20% now, growth going forward. But the most alarming aspect for me was gross margins eroding, and gross margins is where you get that benchmark for pricing power, competitive advantage, moats. If that's eroding from like, I think, let me pull it up real quick. I think it went from 60 to 40%. Either way, like, I think that's what it was like. It's not worth looking into more, because like, I just don't want to. I'm my portfolio is maxed out right now on positions, and if I see a company that's seeing their gross margins erode like year after year, which is happening like 2023, 2024, 2025. Let me pull it up right here so I give you guys the accurate number. Yeah, it's going from 69% gross margin in 2023 to 53% margins in 2024 to 40% margins in 2025. And this is causing their like free cash flow to be kind of a mess. Their net income goes from 22 million last year to 4 million this year to 3 million in 2025. Like, it's just so noisy, their fundamentals, that even if they have their finger on the AI pulse or any of these secular growth themes, why is their gross margin declining when really nobody's spending responsibly right now on these themes? Like, the gross margin should be somewhat inflated, actually. So that's just my take on GUR. Maybe there's some reasons on why those things are happening, and I'm just looking at a 10,000-foot view. But
Let's go. What do we got? Let's take a look. Dude, I don't know what just happened. The Twitter space was just rugged completely. I always just have it sitting with my phone right here. Just completely rugged. Uh-oh. We're fixing that. Let's see.
Palantir's having no bueno. TMDX is $78 now, up 3% again. That is a 30% move in 4 days. So I was here sticking my neck out, for the last couple weeks, I was like TMDX, TMDX, but nobody wants narrative false price action. Nobody wants under $60, and I guarantee everyone's gonna want it above 100. That's how it works. But either way, they're showing following up with a theme again, where you're seeing Uber catch a bit this pre-market as well. New Bank, like all the Q4 laggers are catching significant bids in January. They're bounce back candidates because as explosive the moves upward is, the downward moves are just as explosive and irrational. And I think Uber is one of those names. TMDX is one of those names. Celsius is one of those names. Mercado Libre, like there's the list goes on. Like there's a lot of bounce back candidates that aren't really just tech or growth tech, large cap tech. Snow's actually catching a bit as well, 3%. That's nice to see. I think they got
Nvidia's
some
down a
bullish
bit here,
notes.
coming in, just getting under yesterday's high.
Tesla's red as well. Amazon's red now. Interesting.
All right, spaces should be good now. Jeez, that was interesting. Microsoft pulling back now. Tesla getting a pop, trying to fill that move back to the upside.
So what's interesting that Jensen was pretty bullish in the EV space last night. So I'm wondering. I'm looking at the EV names; they're kind of catching bids as well. Uh, Uber obviously was a really bullish one from last night, but I'm seeing
Everything.
Innovix, ticker ENVX. I forgot to mention this. That's up
NVDX.
21% today. That's because they just secured a major prepaid order for their advanced silicon battery to power the next gen mixed reality wearables. It's one of my favorite battery plays out there. There's no commentary on the actual dollar amount, which is like annoying because they never release the actual financials around these announcements. But it's from a large Silicon Valley player who made this order. So like it's a bullish name, bullish theme, and it's catching a major bid this morning. Let's see what else.
And Q seeing some rejection. ES definitely looks stronger, which it has been the past few days. So something to note. ES continues to have that strength. And Q a bit weaker, which makes sense. Although Tesla's getting a pop. But overall, tech yesterday was pulling back. Nvidia pulling back pretty hard here. Back to 151.
Wow, TMDX is up 5%. Jeez. This one is just raging. Trying to see. What else?
It looks like Skywater Tech is a U.S. semiconductor manufacturer offering custom chips and advanced tech, focusing on innovation and secure domestic production. Gotcha. Yeah, I did not know that company off the top of my head at all. Oh yeah, Emp. Yeah, Emp was saying, did you know Shay and Elon are friends now? Yeah, apparently. Apparently they're homies now.
Oh man, it's pretty wild. I mean, I obviously told my fiance. I
Oh,
texted
what'd
my
she
fiance
say? What'd she
that.
say?
I got no response.
No response. just like,
No response.
just side eye.
She's like, oh, okay. She doesn't understand that that's my dream.
It's my
To
dream.
meet Elon. That's
That's my dream.
he's my Yoda.
That's so funny. He's my Yoda.
Let's see.
Ooh, Emp. I hear you in spaces slapping NQ long. Dirty animal. Tesla's really looking solid so far. Coming back to the top of this range that we just sold off early this morning, though. So, wait, was that this morning? Yeah.
Pounds here is down 3%, so this is continuing their pullback a bit. It's funny when I think it was Kramer got bullish in
Oh,
the
they pulled
same
up. They pulled
last
up your
week.
tweet. Let's go. Jensen is right. That tweet went crazy.
I know, it's pretty cool.
Coinbase started out with a little
It's pretty
pop.
cool. It's crazy because I don't know, 2025 is starting off pretty strong. Elon acknowledged me essentially. I'm able to go on Fox News, the studio on Friday to talk my favorite stocks.
Yeah.
Started off with a banger. I might have peaked in January, and the rest of the year might just be downhill. That absolutely could be the case. Either way, it's one of those things you guys enjoy the journey. Elon, it was not a comment in my account was not my bingo card. It really wasn't. Let's
Yeah.
see what else. Um,
Feel free to drop any more tickers, guys, if you have them. Gosh, Nvidia taking it here. Back under 150. What was that low? This
well,
1 o'clock low from Tuesday this morning. Yeah, that's where we opened at. Tesla smacked. Coinbase. And it started off looking a little strong, but getting smacked.
so I wanted to bring this up as well on here. TMDX is above 80. You guys hear me talking about it all the time, blah, blah, blah. It's mainly because I love investing in companies, stick my neck out when everyone else hates it. I am a contrarian in that aspect. You see it across I was bullish on CrowdStrike and everyone thought it was going to go to zero from that demise. Nobody wants Snowflake under 120. I thought it was going to be the next $300 stock. Palantir under 10, Tesla under 200, etc. So I want to bring this up for TransMedics on why I think maybe they're catching a bid, an aggressive bid this week, where we got their first M&A announcement um, yesterday, and I'm gonna bring it up right here. So it was, geez, I post a lot. I'm pulling it up. All right, so Stryker acquired Nari yesterday for $4.9 billion, and their terminal rate that they acquired Nari was 126 times next year's net income with 18% revenue growth. TransMedics is supposed to grow 21% next year. And if you want to apply that same terminal rate that Stryker acquired Nari, because that gave the benchmark for what a MedTech acquisition will go for, that implies that TransMedics will get acquired for $290 a share. Remember, they have a similar growth profile as a Nari. That just shows how undervalued right now TMDX is. And I think that MedTech acquisition put a benchmark valuation now across the board in certain names in that space. And it's getting reflected in that right now, where it's up 35% in the past 5 days, the stock. And even when it's gapped up, it's extending it today. It's one of the biggest movers in my portfolio today. I think it's because it's getting re-rated, and especially in a year. I don't think they're going to get acquired. I really hope TMDX doesn't get acquired because they have a logistics network moat that is so difficult to obtain, especially as a small cap company, because it provides pricing power, end-to-end logistics that create a high barrier of entry for any competitors. Those are characteristics that don't fall suit for a company trying to get acquired. Like when you have a logistics network moat, you kind of sustain competitive advantage for years and years and years. They were just getting hit by this like competitive headwind of NRP, blah blah blah, which I disagree with. Either way, they're getting re-rated, and now you're seeing this like kind of breakout in their charts. They still have a gap to fill because there's been a vicious pullback in Q4. However, now that we had that like med device benchmark acquisition valuation, even worst case scenario for TMDX, like it shows that there's a significant upside. If things don't actually fare well on them getting acquired, it's going to be that valuation. So I think that's kind of what's happening, and I wouldn't be surprised if other med device companies are catching a bit today.
Market coming in hard right here into the overnight lows. Somebody asked about BOTZ and ETF. This is a global X robotics and artificial intelligence ETF. Interesting.
I've never
$33.
heard of it,
I've
which
never
is
heard of this
alarming
either.
because I'm very bullish in that space.
Yeah, it's super
Let me
interesting.
see.
You might like this, Shy. Definitely been on a kind of slower grind to the upside since 2023, but definitely to the upside. Looking healthy.
Oh, it's an ETF. That's why I
Yeah,
haven't
it's an
heard about
ETF.
it.
Yeah.
So my stance on ETFs, when I put 50, 60 hours a week in like stocks research, modeling, like reading, hearing the conference calls on Earnings Hub, like all these things, like why buy an ETF for me? So like that's why I don't know many
Yeah.
ETFs out there except for like I love the Rec Share ETFs because they do a very, very strategic like angle on capitalizing alpha on thematic moves, Like, what's our favorite one? Should we do MicroStrategy, for example? Like
Oh,
MST
MSTU, MSTZ. You have
is,
the two times
yeah,
leverage long and short for MSTR. I mean, that's amazing.
you
It
can't,
speaks for
yeah,
itself right there.
you can buy options on some of these names because the IV is so spiked. These 2x leverage tools are like kind of like the whoa alternative solution where you don't have to worry about time decay in your contracts, like the IV being elevated. Like this captures the move, and you saw it right now with MS when MicroStrategy went through that 50% pullback. If you bought it at $8 during that pullback, you would have made 40% in a week. Like that's kind of like that's more interesting than maybe doing MicroStrategy contract and via option chain when it goes down 50% in a matter of like 1 or 2 weeks. That IV guarantee has spiked on that contract, and you're gonna be making less money because volatility is now correlated in that contract. Where these 2x leverage ETFs, like you don't have to worry about all the Greeks behind a contract. So that's kind of like I like 2x leverage ETFs as trades rather than like long-term investments, obviously, because there's a lot of slippage. So don't do this as a long-term investment, but great trade.
Yep, I agree, 100%. Well, this market's getting a beautiful bounce off those overnight lows. I'm a little mixed this morning, to be honest.
Fatigue. It's fatigue.
Yeah.
It ran up a lot. So earnings is going to be the next catalyst, and I think
I was
that's
gonna
around the
say,
corner.
man,
So
earnings are really gonna tell for, I mean, this whole quarter. It's gonna be, it's gonna be fun. I can't wait, and we're just gonna have a lot more clarity, I think, after some of these big earnings hit and we get those numbers out. So, gonna be fun. I'm excited for it. And then all this data, of course, we got. What do we have tomorrow? Well, today and the rest of the day we got Jolts at 10, so that's in about 15, 20 minutes. We got Jolts job openings and then US ISM services PMI as well, so you might see a little volatility there. And then tomorrow we got jobless claims, more Fed speakers. We have Fed speakers pretty much almost every day this week. And then minutes tomorrow as well. Plenty of stuff going on this
jeez,
week, so exciting.
TMDX is up 8% now.
Oh
Rocket Lab
boy.
is catching a bit as well. So it looks like small caps are where you want to be because I'm looking Rocket Lab, Ion Q, all up 4%. TMDX is up 7%. Qs are red now. Spies look like it's fading. Amazon is red. Um, it looks like a repositioning, and again, that's you want the breadth to widen a bit. It's like IWM is even up 0.7%. So let me see my small cap portfolio actually. What's yeah, small cap portfolio is up 4% today. So let's see what else is moving. Air Test Systems, ticker AEHR, play on the EV company space. They're up 11% today. And Innovix up 26%. Geez, great
Yeah.
to see. Yeah, it's definitely a small cap day. So I do think you, I mean, I'm not, I know large cap tech has done well recently. I don't know if that's where you want your like capital to be right in 2025. I really don't. Like, you have to ask yourself, like, what's the next tailwind? Like, it can't just be Nvidia is driving AI. Like, it's just, you have to ask yourself, like, especially when like a lot of the PEGs are above 2.0 now. Um, Nvidia is less than 1.0. Same with AMD. It's like that's kind of where you, if you want a big tech name, like those are the kind of space you want it. But Microsoft and Apple are above a 3.0 PEG ratio. Like they have to prove a massive earnings expansion story next 1 or 2 quarters for them to justify the valuation. That's a tall mountain to climb. I don't know. I really don't. And Google's run up a lot. Um, I think Google Cloud, if it maintains momentum, like I think they're going to catch a bid. Then Tesla, like Tesla's a prove it story at this point. Like $300 autonomy is a near term reality. It is, and Trump winning the presidency made that a Trump trade essentially because he wants U.S. to solve autonomy before China does. He wants that, so he's going to deregulate it, especially for his first buddy Elon. So now it's up to Tesla and Elon to deliver, especially when the anticipation of deregulation is going to be a reality. But they have to show some kind of fundamentals in 2025 to justify this increase they've experienced in stock because multiple analysts on the street have called it, and I agree with this statement. It's $1 trillion add value to Tesla stock autonomy if they can solve it. That's essentially $300 increase in stock price. I think it was at trading at 240, 250 pre-election when Trump won. It obviously caught a major bid, but it went up $200 since Trump winning. And I just said $300 is the full value on autonomy if they solve it. So it's already 60 to 70% there. that just shows, oh, it's almost fully priced in now. So they actually have to deliver. And this morning's note from B of A kind of illustrated that, where execution and valuation is a somewhat concern. So I'm downgrading from a buy to a hold. I think that's fair to say. However, if they do solve it, like what Jensen said yesterday, it's a multi-trillion-dollar industry, and there's going to be more than one player in it. However, Tesla will have the first mover advantage, and they will be the king of that space. And there's more than enough room for a duopoly for the competitors to fight who's going to be the second tier.
Yeah, I'm with you. Good stuff, Shy. Well, I got nothing else for the crew, but I hope everybody has a great day trading. We're getting some movement right now, big bounces from the lows. I'm watching to see. I haven't taken any positions personally, but we're holding that 50% retracement of yesterday's trading range on NQ. So noticing that, as long as we're holding that, gotta kind of still think to the bullish side of things, especially seeing this dip get bought right away. I'm leaning that way, but honestly, no real clarity for me at this moment. So I won't be entering any positions right at this moment. Probably in a little bit when I get a little more clarity here. But Shy, anything else for the crew? I'm all good. If we want to wrap it up.
No, don't survive to trade another day.
Yes,
Don't
sir.
get too greedy. Don't. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So if things aren't looking attractive right now, the setups aren't looking attractive, just build your cash position and have that dry powder, because it's gonna be an explosive earnings season, especially with the run up we've had. That it's show up or shut up.
Yeah, please
And
don't punish yourself for like sitting back and waiting for good setups. I know it can feel like obviously just shitty sometimes because you're like, I want to be in something, I want to be making money, but when you get that A plus setup, you forget about those days that you sat out because you made enough money that you're not even worried about it, right? So that's kind of where I'm at. We'll let those A plus setups come until they do, kick back. Look at maybe other positions like options plays potentially, right? Because it's a new year. I'm ready to get back into some options plays, so I'm keeping my eyes open for stuff like that as well, and just being able to trade every realm of the market, or try to at least, right? So appreciate everybody. Trade safe today. Watch out for that data coming out at 10. Remember, that's in about 10 minutes, so just remember that's coming out. And yeah, have a great day. Y'all. We'll see you bright and early in the morning. Peace.